In this video, I want to discuss 20th century music. There's so much diversity in 20th century music, more so than maybe any other time period in history, at least up to this point yet. The 21st century has yet to be written as far as the history of music is concerned. We could actually spend a whole semester or even a lifetime just studying all the different music that has come out of the 20th century. But in the short time that we have together, we're going to just focus in on maybe four aspects of this 20th century music, that being atonality, expressionism, impressionism, and also electronic music as well. Now, as far as impressionism is concerned, what is impressionism? A lot of this has to relate with the visual arts. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this particular painting by Claude Monet, Impression Sunrise, right? Is it a particularly good painting? A lot of people would say yes. You know, many of you have probably seen it. But if you really take a really close look at this painting, is it really that great of a painting? Is it realistic? If that is our definition of what makes a good painting, but I don't think that is the definition, or or what the intention is of impressionistic artists like Monet. In impressionistic paintings, the artist intentionally avoids use of hard outline or form or realism. If you look at this painting here, you know, all you have are these like little brush strokes to represent the sunrise and also the water as well. And I guess there's a boat in there, a couple boats there possibly. But it's not really, you know, well defined, and a lot of that is done intentionally. What its main focus is on the effect of light and color that leaves a momentary impression on the viewer, or in the case of music, it's going to be the listener. So as far as impressionism in music is concerned, what artists like Claude Debussy, who we'll talk about in a second, they like to blur form, harmony, and rhythms and tonality in order to give an impression of something that they're trying to depict. So it's not quite like the emotions or so autobiographical like the romantic music is concerned. A lot of this, I was talking about Claude Debussy, who's probably most associated with impressionism in music. He was heavily influenced by Indonesian classical music performed by a gamelan. What a gamelan is an Indonesian orchestra made up mainly of gongs and chimes. As far as the man himself, Claude Debussy, although he lived most of his life in the 19th century, his compositions were so innovative and influential to 20th century music that we associate him with this century. He was educated at the Paris Conservatoire and mostly associated with Impressionism in music. Now, how does Debussy achieve this impressionistic style? He uses a lot of pentatonic scales. Pentatonic scales are what we call 5-note scales. For example, if you took the notes C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, you end up with a pentatonic scale. If you notice, it has a bit of an Asian sounding feel to it, because a lot of Asian music is based off of pentatonic scale. If I just played just notes off of those 5 notes of the pentatonic scale, again, you get that evocation of Asian sounding music or Asian folk music, and that was influential in his music. He also liked to use whole tone scales that are made up entirely of whole steps, like C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. And that, of course, creates a really dreamy or water-like quality. You might even remember hearing some whole tone scales in some dream sequences in movies as well, as far as Debussy's blurring is concerned. The piece that's representative of Debussy's impressionistic style is the prelude to the afternoon of a Faun, written in 1894, even though it's not, literally 20th century, but I think it's very influential as far as the orchestral works here of Claude Debussy. The main melody is played by the flute, and if I play a little bit of it for you here. Sorry. So you don't really get a sense of, is it a happy major sound or is it a sad minor sound? You don't really get that impression, for lack of a better term, for this here. So he's, again, kind of getting this dreamy sequence here. So follow along on the listening outline. And I actually found a YouTube video of someone who had posted this prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, and I'll post a link up to it here on my video here as well, that you can listen to this whole Debussy masterwork along with the listening guide on pages 309 to 310 in your textbooks.